Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And after 4 years of covering Gotham on our Exploring Gotham subseries here on the So You Want to Be an Imagineer podcasting network, Gotham is coming to a close, Dragon. And 2 days from now, on January 3rd, the premiere episode of Season 5, the last season, will be premiering. And Dragon, before we get into the recaps and everything, we're going to try and make, I believe, Thursday or Friday the official night that Gotham is going to be recapped most nights.
Well, we're going to try for Friday. It premieres on Thursday, so we're trying to do as fast as we can without just being like being desperate. Like, oh yeah, we got to do it right after it airs, man. No, we're going to do it on Fridays, ideally.
All right. So before we get to that, the first one will be this Friday, hopefully, if all goes well and if nothing drastic happens on either of our ends. We're going to get to some Spec Dragon just for good old tradition's sake, if anything else, because we've done Spec for all the season 2, 3, 4. So why not, just to round it off? I honestly don't have as much to say about Spec this time around as I have other times, but honestly not for lack of interest, kind of the opposite, more because I didn't even realize it was coming up, and because I was kind of specifically avoiding the marketing this time around. And so for that reason, when we realized that we had to do Spec and that it really wouldn't feel right if just the last season didn't have a Spec podcast, basically, Dragon, I had a couple days to really wrap my head around, like, okay, I need to watch the trailers, I need to study Zero Year, I need to, and, truth be told, I didn't really, the complexities of Zero Year kind of got to me, and I didn't really have time to comprehend it. And I don't know, a lot of things kind of went over my head, so I'm kind of running at this a little blind here. But I'm going to do my best. I did like the trailer, even though I avoided it for a long time. And, we'll see. We'll see. Right. I don't sound unexcited for it, Dragon. Let me put a big emphasis on the fact that I think it was a really good decision for them to end the show when they did it, season 5. I think it's a great call to not have the show like kind of go on and drag on like another show that really burned me on AMC that's also based on a comic book that I don't want to name right now. Stuff to say, Dragon, I think 5 seasons for Gotham is perfect. It's like a nice solid arc to wrap up to the Bruce Wayne arc, and it gives us a lot of time to explore all the villains from different points and angles. So I am quite looking forward to it, and this does look like the most stylistic season of the show yet.
Yeah, it's been it's been 5 years, folks. I mean, basically by the end of this season, it will have been 5 years. But still, each season, I think each season on the whole of Gotham, I think each season has progressively gotten better. They keep learning from their mistakes. Each season definitely has had a rough patch. Let's not be quoted.
I would say season 3 was maybe a step down from the first 2, just because crazy Lee stuff.
Look, to be fair, here's the thing. Season 2 was kind of a mixed bag, because like the first half kind of lost some steam and then picked it up in the second half, and then season
3 was kind of the reverse. Season 3, the opening was really good, but then the ending was just wacky.
Basically, they let us down with one character in a major way in season 3. That's the thing. Again, I think 3 on the whole was a step up from 2, but then we got to the Lee stuff, which just kind of blew up in everybody's faces. Like, Lee was very out of character, and they made it.
We had such a. In retrospect, though, it was so fun podcasting about all that because while Lee was on this downward trajectory, we were like, "Holy crap! How is Barbara one of the best characters on this show at this point in time?
It's crazy. What's It's again, it made us have a distaste for again, not for the actress, but for the character that Maria Baccarin had brought to life on Gotham. It made us say not so nice things about Maria Baccarin's character, not Maria Baccarin.
I mean, it was a wacky time to be a Gotham fan, man. Like season 3 was like one of the more surreal seasons of the show.
But season 4, aside from one thing, which given the whole is kind of a minimal thing, aside from one element of season 4 I thought was tremendously great. And I rewatched season 4. Again, I rewatched season 4 to get into leading up to Gotham season 5. And again, still rewatching it. Again, everything works except for the Barbara being trained by Ra's. The whole Barbara Ra's al Ghul story. That's the only thing that doesn't really click in the season. But I mean, you take that out of the equation, the whole season's great though. It's a grand improvement.
For me, the Barbara and Ra's al Ghul stuff kind of veers into campy so bad it's good territory in some ways.
And again, it's
I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
And that's the thing. Like Barbara was, that's the thing, like they were keeping Barbara ambiguous at the start of things, and that was fine. It was kind of different. Like wasn't really winning major points. It's okay, but then basically Barbara she kind of flew too close to the sun with like I'm the chosen one of Ra's al Ghul, and then it kind of all blew up in her face, and it was just a little embarrassing for everybody. And now she has kind of a League of Assassins of her own, which is just kind of weird in itself. So basically, that's the only holdover from season 4. I'm really dreading. I have some other stuff to dread with season 5. We'll get into that. But on the whole, though, so again, Gotham progressively it's been a wacky ride to say the least, and for the most part, it's improved over time. It keeps challenging expectation. I think that's the biggest lesson to take away from Gotham. Each season is progressively different and kind of going really broad and really in different directions than we ever thought it would way back in season 1. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I will say, Dragon, I think, like, for me, I've only seen The Flash season 1, but, like, even then, I think I enjoy Gotham as a whole a little bit better than the general vibe that I get from the CW verse. I just feel like Gotham is, I mean, I might be speaking sacrilege here, but what I respect about Gotham is that it doesn't try to connect itself to any broader story. It's just it's its own wacky universe, and it's kind of like, as we've always said throughout these 5 years we've been covering the show, it's it's this weird amalgamation of like 60s Batman and Batman Returns in a way. You know what I mean? It's got this crazy, like, it's got a tone all its own, and it's like a completely unique take on the Batman mythology, and that's exactly what we were hoping for from the get-go. And I feel like the range of like quality episodes, and there's some episodes that are just wacky and a little fillery. I feel like that's one of the reasons why I'm also excited for season 5 is that it's very limited. It's like 13 episodes, right, Dragon? How many?
12.
12. Okay. 13. I'm thinking I'm having Breaking Bad flashbacks with the 13. But yeah. So 12 episodes. That's a very nice and contained. Like, if I have one complaint about Gotham as a whole, I just feel like although I feel like the show did kind of improve in that regard, I feel like season 1 was kind of the biggest culprit of being all over the place with the long number of episodes.
And again, they didn't know they were making that many episodes.
Well, is that it technically kind of like it split its season in half in terms of story arc in that regard. And I feel like that's going to set itself apart from other comic book shows. And, it's going to be easier to follow on a rewatch, kind of track the progress from beginning to end. So.
Right. And, again, so tonally, I think you nailed it right on the head, of course. It's always kind of the 60s Batman meets Batman Returns. And I love that thematically, it kind of lived up to what I hoped for in the very beginning. As the series went on, it fit into the Snyder mold that I wanted to, the Scott Snyder, the New York Snyder, folks, the good Snyder. And it's always been, it's again like why call a show Gotham instead of doing the Gotham Central thing like we all thought it would. It's about how the city molds people and kind of inspires people and kind of changes these characters into the characters that we know and have been kind of like one with kind of the one with kind of what we know and love about Batman as a whole. It's like what kind of how does this city kind of influence these characters, and how do they by in turn influence the city as a whole? Again, that's what the whole story is, what the whole series I hoped was going to be about. And again, over time, they basically have done they've homaged, if not referenced, all of the great Scott Snyder Batman stories in some way, shape, or form. Again, not a verbatim adaptation, but at least they've homaged. They literally did Court of Owls. We had a lot of Death of the Family for any doubt.
In a weird way, the way they handled the Snyder adaptations sort of reminds me of the way that MCU handles their adaptations.
Okay, kind of, but I feel maybe the MCU gets a little bit closer. But yeah, it does definitely have a lot of reverence for the material. I mean, even beyond the Snyder stuff, as much as I love to talk about the Snyder stuff, there's a lot of other homages to other things Batman as well. And I think this season's a testament to a lot of Batman pulls from all over. So I'm very. Of course, many people have always cited the instant go-to of homage is that Gotham. I mean, yes, there are cell phones, but aside from that, you have it's pretty timeless looking. It's kind of almost like an animated series kind of setting, stylistically, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's always been something kind of cool.
I mean, you would know better about that than I would, but yeah, I agree. Like aesthetically, sure.
Yeah, aesthetically, there's a lot of animated series in there, but again, on the whole, I think what you and I have been saying from the very beginning, and the thing it's every time we've had like a change that's been made to the show, that you know what, it's something that very unlike the prequel series we kind of went in expecting. It's sort of like it's like a Batman Earth One reimagining of the Batman origin. Changes are made, and again, it's not going to be. It's a show that knows it's not gonna follow just kind of like it's not all prequelitis. It's not all like it's gonna pay off in this regard. There is a lot of that, and that's not a bad thing necessarily. Tiki and I, we do love a good prequel show. Bates Motel, Better Call Saul. We're prequel junkies. We are.
Oh my God. I mean, fucking Better Call Saul is one of the best. Like, that's one of my favorite stories I've ever experienced in any medium, Dragon. You know me, like, you and I are both in love with Better Call Saul after season 4.
And again, that's the interesting thing. We have a lot of villains who are probably a little bit more formed than they should be, but I mean that's the thing though. The show kind of again, if you follow the show, I think you've been won over by it like we have. You accept that it's not going to be completely telegraphed the way you think it's going to go, because where's the fun in that? You know exactly where it's going to go. It's kind of throwing a few loops at you, and again, it's a reimagining. It's an
also like one of the things I respect about Gotham is that it's essentially like it's not out to win Emmys, you know what I mean? It's very like B movie popcorn television, but by the same point, it's it knows it's B movie material, but it still tries to tell a good story, and it still tries to tell to have good character arcs, and I feel like it's very comfortable in its own skin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not trying to be the definitive Batman origin series. It's just trying to be a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what the equation is. So again, all of that said, we're looking forward to season 5. So let's break this down. Of course, folks, the way we break down our Gotham spec before the season is very simple. We go through what we know, what we've seen, and what we speculate. So let's start with what we know. Here are the things that we know going into Gotham season 5. So what do we know? We know how many episodes we're getting. 12. Which originally we didn't know we were getting 12. We thought we were going to get 10, which made me really, I think me and a lot of other people, because again, 10 seemed to be the official number for a while, which made us think, why just stop at 98? They're so close to 100. Why not, man? Why? But I remember it's Comic-Con, kind of kind of talking to people online. I was doing some Batman stuff, and we were kind of talking about Gotham. I was like, oh my God, why are they stopping at 80? At 98? Why? But this is great news. I found out getting ready for the season. I don't know how official how long this has been official, but 100 episodes makes me feel really good about the series where it's wrapping up, even more so.
Yeah. You know what, Dragon? It would also be really appropriate if it did stop on 89 episodes.
Wait, 89, but we've been at 98, which just feels wrong.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, technically, if you would have cut out a couple of the filler episodes here and there, wouldn't it be nice, like, a Batman series with 89 episodes in it? I don't know.
That would be cool. It'd be neat, to say the least. All right, so let's see. So we know that. Okay,
maybe a Michael Keaton, like old man Batman show.
We go to the Dark Knight Returns era of Gotham, and it's Michael Keaton. Anyway, so let's go over where we left off in season 4, getting to season 5. So what the status quo is going into season 5 that we're left. Basically, the things we're definitely going to expect to see either pick up the ball for where they left it. So for starters, let's we gotta start with the biggie. So the biggie was we adapt at the end of season 4. They adapted. They used in an interesting way. I like how they tied in certain events in a way. It was again kind of a neat, fresh way of kind of reinterpreting some stuff. They did some heavy homaging of Killing Joke, and they used it to springboard No Man's Land. They kind of had Ra's al Ghul and Jeremiah, kind of our proto Joker, team up. They used Killing Joke to team those two guys up, which brought us to No Man's Land, which of course is a huge story from the Batman comics, where Gotham is cut off, all the bridges are blown up, And it's every man for himself in Gotham. The criminals are running rampant more than ever before. That's pretty big. Right. Let's see. I'm sorry?
That's it?
Well, no, there's more. I was just gonna.
Okay. Sorry.
All right, now let's see. So Selena was shot and paralyzed. We now know she's paralyzed, and she's been evacuated from Gotham. That's where we left off with her. Of course, she was the Killing Joke of it all. She was shot like Barbara Gordon is in Killing Joke and paralyzed. See, Riddler and Lee, they both kind of stabbed each other, Romeo and Juliet style. I know they didn't stab each other in the play. I'm just saying they both kind of did each other in by the same method. And they're being fixed up by Hugo Strange. Let's see. The territory is being claimed by the criminals. This is what we saw. Just to go over what we saw real quick. Penguin took over City Hall. Babs and Tabs, they regained the Iceberg Lounge, which was also the Sirens Club. So now it's a Sirens Club and it's a no-man zone. But we're not going to get uber PC with that one. And then we had the Scarecrow. We saw, I believe, Firefly. We have someone who looks remarkably like Man-Bat, who's going to be really strange if they go back to that guy, and he's not Man-Bat, because, again, it's the other Man-Bat-looking guy we haven't got. The second one, by the way. And there are these characters who, again, I have very little familiarity with, but they were mother and orphan. These two masked characters. Like, there was a mother and there was like an orphaned kid, both wearing creepy masks and killing people. So mother and orphan. That's who those characters are. I legitimately think we're going to do nothing with them, but we'll get to that with speculation. And importantly, the GCPD is the only.
They're going to be like the equivalent of the little kid at the end of The Last Jedi.
Pretty much. So okay, now this is an important one though. So the GCPD, thanks to Lucius Fox. Lucius Fox took one of the generators that was basically rigged by Jeremiah and Ra's al Ghul to blow up all the bridges of Gotham. They took one of the generators that Wayne Enterprises helped build, by the way. Hence Lucius Fox. He basically rewired so it works for its actual purpose, and it's providing light and energy and power to the only place in Gotham, which is the GCPD. So they're the only place with power in all of Gotham officially, at least before anyone does anything in Season 5. That's where we left off in Season 4. They're like the only beacon of hope and power and resources in Gotham, it would seem. And so that's where we left off. Those are all the beats in Season 4 that we left off with. And, of course, the big thing we know going into this season, we're doing No Man's Land in terms of what stories were, like how we did Court of Owls in Season 3. In Season 5, we're doing Zero Year, and we're doing No Man's Land. Those are the two biggies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited about Zero Year because they kind of were lightly doing a bit of Zero Year in Year 1 in Season 4. So they got me real excited. Just on the whole, to simplify, it's Zero Year basically is it's more vigilante Bruce Wayne stuff. Like imagine the Year 1 stuff just extended to like Bruce Wayne finding himself before he becomes Batman. Like Bruce Wayne like doing other vigilante stuff before he finds the Bat moniker. That's what Zero Year is. That's basically Zack Snyder extending that. Darn it. Sacrilege. That's darn it, I feel so darn.
And then Batman gets raped in prison.
No, you're not helping. Oh man, that's gonna haunt me. Anyway, so Scott Snyder. Sorry,
don't beat yourself up over it, man. Everyone does it.
Anyway, so the point is, Scott Snyder, he basically, he was a huge fan of Year 1. That's his favorite Batman story. And what he loved about that story was, again, kind of that. Basically, he was tasked with redoing a Batman Year 1 for the New 52. And basically, again, he reluctantly took on that challenge, but he made a really good story out of it. Just kind of a Bruce Wayne doing a lot of vigilante Bruce activities that we kind of got a glimpse of in Year 1 that eventually gets to the him ringing the bell for the Bat to crash through the window, that sort of moment. So basically, Bruce is on a path to the Batman Omen, to the Bat Omen, as it were. And the Zero Year culminates in Batman, his first public feat of heroism that kind of inspires Gotham. So that's what Zero Year is all about, Tiki, very simply. It's him discovering Batman. He becomes Batman for a spell. It's kind of some kind of very kind of Gotham-esque shenanigans in the middle. And then we ultimately have Batman kind of saving Gotham like a big feat of public heroics that kind of inspires them. Basically says the myth of Batman is kind of put forward. And again, the whole title of this season, the subtitle, actually it's a good subtitle for a change, is Legend of the Dark Knight. So that's pretty good.
It's like the one of the only good ones, and for my money.
True, true. Well, yeah, it's one of the few good ones. Yeah. So Legend of the Dark Knight again finally lives up to, and again lives up to what Zero Year is kind of building to anyway. And again, it's about the legends of Gotham kind of finally earning their namesakes. That's all fine and dandy. Okay.
You know what I like about the title is it kind of fits with the whole Fox's retelling of the Dark Knight mythology. Kind of, kind of rings true to that whole thing that we set up back in season one.
That is cool, and also it's a great callback to a really good line of Batman stories from the early not early, but I guess kind of that the Denny O'Neil era of Batman. Like he had a line of books like Grant Morrison wrote a story. He had this line of comics called Legend of the Dark Knight. So it's really good eclectic Batman stories there. So that's kind of what they're pulling from there. So it all feels really nice and kind of like that's some deep cuts Batman.
All right. So the now episode titles, right?
Yeah. Let's talk some episode titles. So, folks, we're lucky enough to know the episode titles. Again, folks, last warning: we're gonna show you the episode titles, show where they're coming from, and they're gonna be spoilers here. If you don't want to know anything about Gotham, turn the video. If you don't want to know anything about season 5, turn it off now. We've gone over everything you should know at this point. Now we're getting the stuff that's gonna breach into spoilers. For things for season 5, if you don't want to know anything going into season 5. Basically, we know a certain character is going to be in the season. So if you don't want to know who that character is, don't watch from this point. Okay, we're good.
All right.
Okay.
Bam.
All right, so we have 10 episodes here, and the 10th one is unspecified what number it is, but we're just going to go through them here and speculate on what the episodes might be about. So, episode 1, Year Zero.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Dragon. I believe episode 1 starts 87 days. We get an 87-day time jump.
That is true. We're starting at 87 days, and based on the marketing, it implies that we're gonna have some neat time jumps in this season. Like we're gonna go like kind of days, like days to a year in advance as the story progresses.
You know me, Dragon. I always love good time jumps, so that excites me.
I know that does, yeah. So Year Zero definitely is a thing pulled from Zero Year, and I presume this episode's mainly going to be out showing the status quo of 87 days in kind of a no man's land Gotham, which is going to be very interesting. Again, no man's land for anyone who's just unfamiliar completely. It's if anyone loves the Arkham games, Arkham City, that's basically it's all pulling from no man's land. You carved up territories in Gotham, a very lawless.
That
Gotham.
to me is like my most familiar reach to no man's land is Arkham City because I've watched playthroughs of Arkham City.
The two very simple kind of landmarks or kind of examples of no man's land. It's Arkham City and it's Dark Knight Rises. Those are the two major no man's land kind of go-tos. The only times we've really seen it adapted or heavily referenced in Batman media have been those two things primarily. Now we have Gotham to kind of be a third for that. So, No Man's Land famously is Gotham's most troubled times. And again, given the mission statement of the series, Tiki, I was always blown away that we got No Man's Land. I remember I was geeking out so much at the end of the season for oh my God, we're getting No Man's Land because because ever since the beginning, they said each season Gotham would progressively get worse. And it doesn't get any more worse than No Man's Land. That makes perfect story sense. Like you're going to adapt the Batman story before we have Batman. You're basically going to use No Man's Land to inspire Batman. That's kind of genius in a way. I respect that.
Yeah, totally works.
And I imagine, again, I'm gonna have some hopes interladen in these episode titles. But my hope is that Bruce Wayne will be kind of a main secondary focus of this episode, and then basically it's going to be Bruce Wayne being proactive as the vigilante proto Batman in this episode. So again, Open Zero Year is a major Bruce Wayne episode while it's just kind of setting up the status quo with Jim Gordon. So,
right. Why couldn't it just be called 0 Year, Dragon? Why does it have to be called Year Zero?
Well, that's something that, if I'm not it's been a while since I've read 0 Year, but they do like a whole thing talking about like a Year Zero specifically. So it's actually. I don't know how deep cuts they're going with this because originally Snyder and Capullo they were toying with the idea of calling it Year Zero. Then they realized no, Year Zero is a terrible title. It's called 0 Year.
Okay, fair enough.
So I don't know if it's either a deep cut or referencing this really obscure.
So Gotham's using it because Snyder and Capullo thought it was a terrible title.
I'd love to think that. I'd love to think that. You know what? I'm going to forget about it if I don't mention it right now because we're talking about Snyder Capullo. Actually, and I mean, I'm not trying to name drop here, folks. I'm just trying to keep it relevant because I don't know whenever I'll be able to bring this up otherwise. Um, I was able to meet Snyder Capullo at the Baltimore Comic Con last year, and I wrote him some thank you notes. And I mentioned this to Scott Snyder, like, it's great. I just love how Gotham has referenced all of. Basically, I mentioned how I love that Gotham has referenced his stories in the show. I mentioned a little mention of that, and how great is that, man? All right.
Okay, so trespassers. My only guess on this dragon is it's going to kind of touch on the different territories at play in the overall scheme of Arkham, the different gangs and whatnot.
Yes. Yes, of Gotham's. Yes, it's going to show the territories of the villains. I imagine someone's going to probably venture into a territory they don't belong. And if I were to guess, I'll bet you even money. It's going to be it's probably going to be Jim Gordon. I think Gordon's going to have to trespass into the Sirens' land, which again we left off with the Sirens is a no man's zone. That's where we left off because they had the female League of Assassins weird kind of spin off where they're still working for Barbara, and they basically it's a no man's zone. I think Gordon's going to venture in there. He's going to be in trouble. I think that's what that episode's going to be about. Going to have to make a compromise or a deal or something. Have to have a conversation with Barbara, which is going to be tense because of the whole no man thing. But
yeah, we'll see how much they stress that.
sure.
All right. Penguin, our hero.
I'm really hoping, by the way, if you haven't picked up on, I'm really hoping a lot of these are kind of really more character focused. That's what I'm really pulling for on this last kind of roundabout of Gotham. I'm hoping that each of these episodes kind of, at least for the most part, all these character titled episodes kind of beat the thing we dreaded in season one, where they had characters' names in the titles and they didn't remotely involve those characters.
Oh God, I really hope that we don't go back to that. Unless how in a twisted way the writers think like, hey, remember how we screwed with people on the season one titles? Let's go back to that.
So my hope is that like this Penguin episode is I would love it if this episode was primarily all Penguin, if not like mostly Penguin, if not all Penguin. I want to see Tiki in No Man's Land. There's this great bit where Penguin is a hero of No Man's Land because he's the guy you go to when you need things. He's like the Morgan Freeman from Shawshank of Gotham in No Man's Land. That's pretty much what he is. He has outside of the GCPD, Penguin is the other guy for resources, but he takes like a take of whatever you're gonna buy from him or whatever he's gonna give you. He wants a percentage, or you have to do something for him. You'll be indebted to him, but again, that's a huge part of No Man's Land. Penguin was the black market guy to go to, but again, during No Man's Land, everybody's desperate, so they all have to go to the Penguin. He runs like the imports of No Man's Land. It's basically Gotham cut off from the outside world.
So how do you think that's going to cut into him being like a public hero?
Well, again, I think in these desperate times, the people who can't make it to the GCPD or just don't want to trust them, like the criminals, are going to go to Penguin before they're going to go to the GCPD. I imagine, like territories are going to be making deals and everything. So I think Penguin might be the hero to the underdog or to the kind of the people who don't want to trust the GCPD. That's what I think it's going to be. I think Penguin's going to be the guy who's keeping Gotham afloat during these dire times for anyone who doesn't want to trust the GCPD, which I imagine will again put yet one of my favorite dynamics of the whole series back into play, where it's Penguin versus Jim Gordon, which will be a very full circle to season one, where Penguin had a vision for Gotham. We're going to see him kind of build that name for himself in the criminal underworld yet again, where he's already built it up for 4 seasons now, but now it'll be kind of that monolithic space of Gotham was at its worst and Penguin was there for us, and kind of like a Fish Mooney space where or like a better comparison, kind of like a Mama Mabel Stokes from Luke Cage capacity, Like you need something, you go to the Penguin. That's why I imagine that's the whole Penguin our hero thing's going to come from.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So Ruin. This is probably gonna give us some of that good old fashioned Scott Snyder architecture, real building that we love so much.
That'd be neat. I was thinking. I think it's going to be the Selena Kyle recovery episode. I think it's going to be thematically. I think it's going to be about rebuilding yourself. And I think if I could pick, I'd imagine it's the A story is going to be maybe Selena recovering. Basically, we're going to see her, the whole dealing with the paralysis thing, and kind of her dealing with that, and maybe the cure, because we know she's going to be walking during the season. We don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, Dragon. Like, I didn't know about the paralysis thing. I mean, I guess I kind of figured it with whole Killing Joke homage, but man, they sure blew that in the marketing, didn't they?
They did. They did. It was a severe wound, though, and I mean, I don't know. I think they're well. Again, of all the stuff I'm worried about in season 5, I'm worried about Selena and one other character most. So again, Selena, I'm worried about this season, to say the least. Like how they're going to broach that story, but yeah, on the whole, I think it's going to be like kind of we're going to check in with Selena this episode, and the other side of it will be the other character who's in ruin, which would be the Riddler story. I think the Riddler again being repaired from his stab wound is going to be out of sorts this season, big time, and I feel he's going to be the other one in ruin, trying to rebuild himself as well. So that's my guess for what ruin's going to be about. But the architectural thing, I would love it if that were the case too. So I don't know, maybe.
All right. So, Penadora. Michael Pena comes into the picture.
Okay, this is a neat one here. So, Penadora. So, of course, Penadora is the prison where, and again, folks, spoilers in case you can't just look in front of you right now. I'm just going to piece together where I'm going with this. Penadora is the prison where Bane grew up.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Now, okay, so I'll mention it now. I just forgot there was literally right the next one we were going to. So the two things I'm worried about most this season, and we'll get into the specific reasons a little down the line a little. Selena and Bane. I'm terrified about Bane in this season. Bane is the one I was so confident going into season 5, Tika. Then I heard Bane was going to be in the season. Like, oh no. And no, not for any Rises related reasons. I'm worried for Bane because it's the ultimate wrong decision to make in a prequel show. I know it sounds like we may have said that in the past with a few things, but that won us over. But Bane is like there's no. Let me put it this way: I've had like a long thing going in my head. Where I've come up with a way where I think Bane could work this season. But they're still, if they go the obvious route, I'm worried they're going to make the dumb, easy decision with Bane. The dumb, easy decision with Bane is we're going to do Nightfall. Nightfall is a mistake. We don't want to do Nightfall. Nightfall is like the one story you cannot tell without a Batman.
Oh.
Because he can't just like want to break Bruce Wayne's back for no reason. He can't just, won't have any, nothing. All right, so I'm just saying that, anyways, in all seriousness, so Penadora, so what I'm hoping this episode's going to be, I'd love this episode to be the Bane origin flashback episode. I want this episode, the one thing we rarely see on Gotham is an episode that does not take place in Gotham. Imagine this, Tiki. Imagine episode 5 is we start and we have like kind of almost Arrow-like flashbacks. I mean like season 1 Arrow, good Arrow flashbacks. Like imagine we had half of the episode is in flashback to Bane growing up in the prison, like the classic Bane origin, which is a great origin story. Him growing up in this prison, and we basically build up Bane for an episode. Like Bane isn't quite in Gotham yet. Like basically, we're showing Bane making his way to Gotham in the background of the story. Like he's not the major threat yet, but he has an agenda this episode. So it's like the Bane origin paralleled with paying off an item. This is the reason something occurred to me, Tiki, this season about Bane, that the reason they're probably doing Bane, the smart reason they're doing Bane, I hope, is to pay off something that we set up in the first season of Gotham. We reference Bane in the first season of Gotham in a really clever way, and I hope they're paying that off. That's the only reason I could foresee they could logically put Bane in this season. In season 1, episode 5, titled Viper, which is a good episode, by the way. You and I really enjoyed that one back. That's the whole like, but Jim, it's lunch. That's the episode.
Right.
Wayne Enterprises created the drug that would become Venom. They created the Viper drug, which essentially was a precursor to Venom, which of course is what gives Bane his strength. So I imagine, flashback to Bane's origin, we're going to parallel that to Bane looking for Wayne Enterprises to kind of synthesize like the proper Venom drug or whatnot. He's going to look for something in Gotham for Wayne Enterprise. So I think that's why Bane's in Gotham, and I think he's going to. Let me put it to you this way. I think he's going to be our big threat, and again, I hope this is going to go well. I think he's going to be our big threat at the end of the season. Like he's going to be the big wall image we have, the big everybody shooting and going crazy and Gotham. I think Bane's leading that. I think Bane's going to be our big bad guy for the end of the series.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, Drake, and I feel like if they play their cards right, Bane is an appropriate person to end out on in terms of like not necessarily for the nightfall of it all, because I agree if you go that route, it's far too early. But I feel like maybe the better way to go about it would kind of be what would lead Bane to want to break Batman's back in the future, you know,
Precisely.
kind of set up like exactly like how big that rivalry would be.
That's what I'm saying, because that's the thing that occurred to me with Viper Take. Is okay, so now we facilitate a reason why Bane connects to Bruce Wayne and connect why he needs to go to Gotham. So we've connected a reason that you can buy that does again go very full circle to the entire series, and it's a threat that we've been building for the whole time in a way, which is kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. So, and the other thing I was getting at, so again, Tiki, so in Zero Year, the big villain in Zero Year, that basically Zero Year builds to a climax of a villain's wreaking havoc in Gotham, and Batman has to rise up to stop him and inspire Gotham. I think we're going to do that this season, only we're going to swap out the villains. In the comic, it was Riddler. Here, I think it's going to be Bane.
All right.
All right, okay. Episode 6.
The air is getting slippery. I don't know, Dragon. My only instinction is maybe fear toxin. I don't know. I don't have much for this one.
Neither do I. One thing to note is Ben McKenzie's directing this one. Ben McKenzie's a neat director when he does the directing on the show.
He is.
My guess. I mean, I only have. I think your Scarecrow thing. I didn't even consider the Scarecrow thing, and I think that's a better prediction than I had. I'm going to give you that much. But the only thing I had is like maybe it's Man Bat if they want it. I think what could happen is if they actually pay off the Man Bat thing, which I'm just going to guess this was the mentality in the writers' room. Well, you know, we kind of have like an animated series aesthetic, and I think they're going to mistakenly remember the first episode of the animated series that had Man Bat in it. Let's do Man Bat because that came first, right? I don't mean that in a fully insulting way.
Peter Petrelli arc, it'll be like, why are we doing this exactly? Like, what purpose does this serve?
Now, look, I'm exaggerating that a smidge, but still, at the same point, I think that might be like kind of like a newbie going into it, saying, "Oh, they're doing Man Bat because Man Bat was the first episode of Batman the Animated Series, right?" That has to be someone. Someone has to have that.
Honestly, to be honest with you, Dragon, I feel like if you're a big enough fan of Batman to know that Man Bat was the first episode, you've probably already watched Gotham.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So, I mean, basically, you see, I'm thinking the air is getting slippery. Is like, okay, Man Bat going high in the air, therefore air is getting thinner, getting slippery. Maybe otherwise, maybe the direct thing is a Mr. Freeze gag because I know nothing about Mr. Freeze this season, and you know, I mean, Mr. Freeze isn't No Man Land in the book, so I don't know. But again, thematically, I think it's going to be where everyone's rising to new heights that are kind of dizzying at first. So I think that's thematically where they're going with episode 6. Then we get to episode 7, which episode 7 looks really good.
Yeah, it's of course just called Ace Chemicals.
All right.
I predict this is going to be the climax of the Joker arc, and that's going to build us up into Bane.
Which, without saying every in and out of it, because it's really good. Again, more reason for you to read Zero Year, Tiki. But let's just say a huge moment from Zero Year is at this episode. I'm going to bet you the most Zero Year this season's going to get is Ace Chemicals.
Cool.
It's the big. Basically, I think in the history of Gotham, I think this is going to be the big Joker payoff. I think we're finally going to turn Jeremiah, and they're going to set up him turning into Joker. Like, what I think is ultimately going to happen is I feel we're going to have. I think we're going to see Joker at the very end of the series, but we're going to show the origin here. I think we're going to have him fall in the vat of acid, and then we're not going to see him until the very end. And we're going to, you might do we're going to you're going to see a hand rise or something, and then we're going to see him at the very end, full Joker. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So yeah. So again, basically, we're going to do we're going to have the full payoff in Ace Chemicals, and again, it's the big. Which will lead to the big last year 1 moment of the series where some maniac has poisoned the water supply in Gotham. I could use the help of a friend, that big Gordon Batman moment at the end of year 1. That's where I think we're setting up with Ace Chemicals. Ace Chemicals is going to be great. That's the one I'm most excited for in the series. That and the last episode. Those are the ones I'm most excited for. Okay, number 8.
Okay, number 8 is I Am Bane. Gee, I wonder if this is going to be where we get the payoff to Dollmacher Dragon.
Oh god, oh god. Okay, so no, this is going to be the mother and orphan episode, Tiki. This is what it's going to be about.
No,
Okay,
seriously, what if like, if anything is going to be where they intentionally pull a season 1 on us just to fuck with us, it's going to be this episode.
God, but
You know how
okay.
they
Here's
would
here's
do it
the
in watchful ways? They would just have Bane show up at the very end of the episode and just say, "I am Bane,"
I
and that.
mean, okay, so two things. Okay, one, the neat thing about this episode title that makes me excited is Tom King, again, the new Batman writer who took over for Scott Snyder, who's also really good. People love Tom King. Some people more than Scott Snyder, but I like them both. I'm still leaning more towards the Snyder side. But Tom King, met the guy is really nice, and the guy, he's an excellent storyteller, man. You've never read a good, better story than a Tom King story, buddy boy. He's phenomenal. Anyways, Tom King. He really knows. He writes a fascinating Bane. I won't tell you all the stuff he's doing right now with Bane, but he introduced Bane in a story. Well, he did a story called "I Am Suicide," which involved the Suicide Squad. It was basically Batman formed the Suicide Squad to take down Bane, and then there was a revenge story of Bane getting basically the story right after that was called "I Am Bane," where it's Bane getting revenge for Batman foiling him. So that's the big and take it that whole story. The I Am Bane story is what I really hope they're doing this season as a whole with Bane. That whole story was it was Batman versus Bane, and it had this great flashback narrative in that story where it was young Bane growing up in the prison. The whole his mother gave birth to him and died in the prison, and basically was showing like Bruce Wayne's backstory and basically some Tom King adding some extra layers and in a good way, some psychological layers to Batman losing his parents. And what he really did with that, Tiki, is show the parallel between these two characters who kind of lost their parents and were molded by that experience. And that's thematically what I really hope we're going to do with these two characters instead of a Nightfall thing. I hope we're going to show the lead up to it.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, this episode, if they to quote your thing, if they wanted to, maybe not at the very end, but maybe the episode could definitely the cold open at least. Like we could do Penadora could be a complete flashback thing for Bane. Then this is like the introduction to him in Gotham. This could be the whole like, who are you? I am Bane. You never know. So I think on the whole, it's going to be Bruce, kind of Bane versus Bruce Wayne, and kind of a respect developing. Basically, the rivalry in its infancy developing here, and Bane changing the game. Basically, imagine this thing. So Episode 7 gets rid of our main villain that we've been building up for many seasons now, our Joker figure, and then enter Bane. Logically, he would enter the story to fill in for the the power void in Gotham. Like, who's the biggest, most terrifying?
Right. Be like a better version of Diamondback.
Essentially, yes. That's precisely what I'm. Yes, that's pretty much what I think they're. I think they're going to take out Joker from the story, and then we're going to introduce Bane to really kind of like basically Bane to the end of the season. I think that's going to be our big bad.
I can see that.
All right, episode 9.
Okay, episode 9 is the trial of James Gordon.
So this Tiki
that is the Dark Knight Rises trial stuff with the Scarecrow.
It's funny. Both with that, but especially, all of that in No Man's Land. There's one of my favorite bits of No Man's Land. It's not my all-time favorite bit. It was a really great bit. There's a story in No Man's Land where Two-Face, and of course, let's just put it this. Okay, Two-Face. So let me tell you before you crack up laughing, because I know you will, because I am already. Okay, so in the comic, Two-Face put Jim Gordon on trial, but Harvey Dent was his attorney. You can imagine how that went. That was a good story. It was Jim Gordon forged an alliance out of desperation with Two-Face amongst No Man's Land, and of course behind the back of the GCPD. And Two-Face put him on trial, and he was allowed to pick his defense attorney. It's a really good story. Trust me, it's a really good story.
I hope to God, man, if we get a proper Two-Face in season 5, I would die happy.
So that's the thing. Okay, so let me just put it to you this way, right? So again, in the comic, it's again, I want to emphasize the story is really good in the comic, and what they're doing here. So again, you and I would be blown away. We'd eat our respective hats if they brought back Nicholas de August or somebody. They probably recast him at this point. Let's be honest.
At this point, yeah.
That poor schlub. He's in a show that some people, for some reason, keeps getting renewed, but I don't like it all. But trial and error. But he's the point is they're probably going to recast him because we've recasted so many other characters in Gotham. We might as well. But anyway, if they do Two-Face, we're going to lose our collective minds. We're going to eat our hats like, oh my God, they brought back Two-Face, yes! But let's be honest, though. I think what's really going to happen is another character is going to put Jim Gordon on trial. And given the director of the episode, Erin Richards, who is Barbara, by the way, I think she's going to be putting Jim on trial.
Oh, man. Oh, God.
It could be one of three characters. I don't think it's going to be Scarecrow because, again, that will only be fun. And don't get me wrong, Scarecrow does have a bone to pick with Jim Gordon, but with the whole killing his father thing. I still think it's going to be, if it's not Barbara's my first guess. If not Barbara, I'd love to feel a Penguin. That'd be kind of cool. But if not Penguin, then Bane. Probably one of those three. But also, I want to point out Ben McKenzie's writing that one. And Ben McKenzie's a really good writer on Gotham, too. He's really solid a writer. So that's it. Just again, it's a really good it's a really good portion of the No Man's Land story. So again, I'm looking forward to this episode as well, but I know it's like not going to be as good. Like, oh, there's no Two-Face in this one, but we'll see how it goes.
All
right. And the last one we have, it says there's an additional episode titled "They Did What." Now, I imagine that's not going to be the last episode of the series, but to be fair, I don't think it's going to be the last episode because in basically this little snippet we have at the bottom here, it says the 12th episode to air the series finale is written by John Steffens. Now, that leads me to believe this is not episode 12. Otherwise, they'd say They Did What is episode 12. That's why I don't think it's the last one. But it would make sense for a finale title. They did what? As your response to the finale. But I really think it's going to be the penultimate. Like, they did what? How are they going to end it after this? That's what I think it's going to be episode 11.
I can see that.
I legitimately think it's going to be episode 11, but I mean, it could be 12, just be really weird in terms of how they phrased it. But anyway, so I think it's going to be the penultimate episode, mainly a kind of a reaction to what happened in episode 10 and kind of preparation for the finale. So that's what I think 11 is just going to be a big setup. All right, so that does it for the episode. So let's get to what we've seen. Now, let me set the stage here a little bit. So, folks, we've gotten some trailers and some marketing on Gotham. And let me just want to highlight something clever they did with the marketing. So the marketing, they did this really neat thing, and I wasn't really following it either because I wanted to come in relatively. I was going to watch a full trailer when they had it, so I was just kind of waiting until it was like actually up, and I was kind of like I was told about it, so I wasn't following this like all the time. So I was surprised by how they went about the marketing. What they did is they worked with the 87-day mark, where for like I guess the month or so leading up to season 5, what they've done is like I guess weekly. My guess is weekly. They've had like a different timestamp, and I guess clips from maybe a different episode. Basically, they've hinted at a big time jump because like there's day 1, and then there's like day 87, and then there's they go beyond day 87, like the one's like 300 and something. So again, they're going like a full year. So again, this basically implies a lot of time jumps, a lot of really cool cryptic teases. Like the only two that really stuck out to me were there's this one that sounds like such a Batman moment where you have two cops kind of conversing with each other and they see like a shadow moving in the background. It's like, oh my God, it's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, that was cool.
And there's one with the Scarecrow, which I believe is a direct pull from No Man's Land. It's really cool. I think they used it. I don't think I think it was Black Mask instead of Scarecrow in the comic, but it's cool nonetheless. Where Scarecrow and his cronies are pulling up this cross. They basically put a guy on a cross. It's a really great image from No Man's Land, where they took down like a cross from a church, and they've been hanging people. They've been putting people on it. That's a cool image just from the book. So they're doing neat little things like that. So let me talk about the first look. So they had a first look, which basically it's the actors telling you a little bit about season 5 and kind of hyping up on a few things, a few storylines. So I wanted to share that, and then we'll get into the big meat and potatoes.
Okay.
So the first look, it establishes the 87 days have passed since at the start. So when we start the episode 1, presumably it'll be 87 days into No Man's Land, the chaos, the status quo, et cetera, et cetera. There's going to be a power struggle over the natural resources of Gotham. We see some stuff with the Riddler where Hugo Strange, in healing Lee and the Riddler, specifically the Riddler, he did a number on the Riddler psychologically when he fixed him. So the idea here, and this is a fascinating idea to me, I think it's kind of neat, where he's messed with the Riddler's memory to the point where he's basically having Bates Motel blackouts. He's waking up and not knowing how he got there. And Riddler's paranoid enough to think his ego is playing mind games with him again, but it's not. Hello?
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, I think it's kind of neat because I love the idea of like a Riddler who basically has to put together the puzzle of himself every day. That's what it's going to get him to that point of being that clever and that menacing. Where again, the Riddler's up to that challenge. He has to live with that sort of thing. It's kind of a neat little take on the Riddler, I feel.
Yeah, it's definitely a different twist on his character to end things out on for sure.
And it kind of pays off the whole ego thing that we've been doing. Again, in lieu of Two-Face having a split personality, we kind of gave that to the Riddler in the form of a Riddler ego. So it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Selina, we've seen her in recovery, and she has these cat eyes, implying a very Batman Returns route to however she came back. and yeah, that's pretty much all that's been kind of told to us by direct from the horse's mouth with the actors. I guess basically, I won't bore you with the other stuff. Just before we get to the big movie as well, let me just tell you one last thing. There's a trailer called The Dark Knight Is Coming, which had like a few really cool shots. Like the one I just want to mention real quick is we saw Bruce Wayne with a grappling gun, which looks awesome, and I love it so much. Bruce Wayne with a holster for his grappling gun, and basically the image you had before, if you look really close, you can see one of the things I'm talking about here is that he's using this long kind of Affleck-like overcoat as a cape, which I love, and he has these gauntlets. You'll notice now has gauntlets to cover his form. They're not just gloves like before. Like he's gone to the bat gauntlets, and I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're adding these little neat touches. And that's the main thing I wanted the shadow.
Do you think Riddler is finally going to get his cane?
I hope so. I know the actor. I know according to Mike. I know the actor really wants one. I hope he gets it too. And what's Riddler without a cane? God, he has to have a cane, but it's got to be a big. I think he might get. I wonder if he's going to get the cane at the very end. That's what I really wonder. But to be fair, he has been shot, so maybe he needs the cane now. That might be interesting.
Oh, that's true. I would actually really like that. That'd be a neat way to incorporate the cane.
Well, I mean, he's been stabbed. So therefore, again, it could give us some purpose behind the cane. Like the Penguin's walk from the very beginning. He walks like a penguin now because he was injured in the leg. So it'd be kind of neat.
Speaking of the Penguin, just really quick, it's not really comics accurate or anything, but I kind of like the look of the sunglasses.
Yeah. Again, they're always kind of compensating for the lack of monocle, but I gotta tell you, the sunglasses are a nice way of kind of doing that.
Uh-huh.
All right, so all that said, let's basically, folks, we're going to break down again. This is like a final warning. If you don't want to see anything for Gotham Season 5, leave us now. We understand. Just check in with us with the recaps. But yeah, so this is basically like the big movie trailer, and we're just gonna kind of go as kind of roughly shot by shot through, and just kind of talk about some of the cool things that we're seeing. What we're not going to show you is basically one thing here is that we're Jeremiah and Bruce had this conversation. It's a really great line that Jeremiah. I know people on the internet are really going crazy over it, and I don't blame them. I remember some people from the Just Giggle at forum on Discord have been kind of really losing their minds over it, especially Nate Productions. I mean that in a good way. He did some fan art of this moment where it's Jeremiah saying to Bruce, "The wound of losing your parents never healed, did it?" It's a good line.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so actually, Tiki, I'm sorry, I've just realized this. Can you go back to 1 minute and 16 seconds? Is that possible?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I think I overshot it there. I was thinking of something. There we go. So basically, folks, this trailer, the reason we're jumping so far it basically recaps seasons 1 to 4 in the other after that Jeremiah Bruce encounter just up to this point. It's all kind of recapping, and this is like the big end all be all trailer, all the footage. That's why we're not going through all the trailers. All the footage essentially is recapped all in this, so it's all in here, man.
All right. Oh man, a lot of stuff to take in already.
Because the sets always look amazing.
A
You've
of the
got,
city.
yeah. So again, this is kind of our no man's land status quo at like a day 87. We have Scarecrow in the street there, looking really menacing with his cronies. He's, has a gang of followers, like a cult of fear, if you will.
Reckon this is going to be. I'm going to warn you right now. It's going to be kind of hard to get to like specific shots just because of the way my computer's a little laggy. So
Right, right.
I'm going to kind of have to roll with it. I like all the lighting. I like the look of the villains. I like that Scarecrow. It's like they keep changing Scarecrow, but I think it's like kind of for the better. Like this time around, he's got like the mouth that sort of just moves on its own. It's just part of the mouth, the mask instead of just the mask being like a burlap sack, like in Batman Begins.
And he's got the hat and he's got the scythe. He looks great.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, these guys. So
These
these
guys kind of actually remind me of Schumacher in
I
a
know
sick
that's the thing. They have to be a direct
way.
They have to be a direct reference to Schumacher. The Neon Gang from the Schumacher films. They look just like him.
God.
Okay, let's hold on that. So later on, just to talk about it here, because we're going to see a little later on too. But just basically, this I think is going to be trespassing. I think this is episode 2. I think this is him going to the Sirens territory, and I think they're hinting at it could go either way. I'll be honest. They might be hinting at kind of like in the heat of chaos. There might be like maybe a heat of passion between these two again, like just going full circle. They used to be an item, you
Mhm.
know. I don't know if it's gonna like. I don't think they're gonna make her sane, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I really like. I'm just saying. I think they might get to a place where they kind of maybe accept each other more than they had before. I don't know. We'll see. Been a crazy ride with Babs. It really has. Okay, so okay. Let's hold on that. So Tabitha, she has a really obviously she's a bone to grind with Penguin because if you remember, Tig, it's been a while, so I don't know if maybe of course she Penguin did something really horrible at the end of season 4. I mean, horrible in like a really awesome way. Had a master manipulator pull out up his hand for the whole season. That was really awesome. Where he wanted to get revenge on Tabitha for killing his mother. So what he did was he cured Butch from being Solomon Grundy, which was awesome. I love Solomon. I love the whole Solomon Grundy Butch stuff, especially on a rewatch. It's still great. And then he killed the person that Tabitha loved most for killing his mother, and then now she's like these two are at war with each other. So Tabitha, they both want great revenge on each other. So that's going to be really great to see.
Uh-huh. This is great.
Victor Zaz. I love this. With Victor Zaz, I love how he's. Love Victor Zaz is all pleasantries. Even in the end times, he's like, "Oh, hey guys," right before shooting at people. Oh, there's a great line too. It was just said over the text, so you don't have to go back or anything. It's that Jim Gordon had a line, "If we survive, hope survives." It's a good line for what kind of the GCPD and what Gordon's kind of striving for. Like, why would he stick around when Gotham's like literally it's been declared like a demilitarized, like there's no hope here, like we've given up on this city. He's sticking around because look, if again it's the age old Snyder philosophy of Gotham where if you're like if you're strong enough to tough it out in Gotham, you'll be. It's the New York philosophy. It's if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Gotham will make you a stronger person. That's kind of what charm of the city is that he's referring to with this new soldier character. I know nothing about this new soldier guy, by the way. I don't know if he's going to like turn out to be a traitor. I knew nothing about this guy. He has a really funny line here where he says, "You left the army for this city." It grows on
I
you.
mean, to be honest with you, Dragon, I'm kind of gravitating towards him in a way because I feel like if they really do connect him to Jim's army past, which I assume they will, I assume he's an old army buddy of some kind. I don't know. I think it could be a really interesting sort of like The Walking Dead did this too, and I hate to fucking bring up The Walking Dead, but just for comparison's point, the whole John Bernthal's character was basically like way more hardened to handle being a leader in the zombie apocalypse than Rick Grimes was. And Rick Grimes had to basically kill John Bernthal because he was getting too power hungry in the group dynamic. And I don't know, I have a feeling that something like that might come about. Like this guy might be a little bit too gung ho and like like we have to militarize everything, whereas Gordon is trying to maintain, a bit of hope and humanity in what he has left in Gotham.
That's entirely possible because that's something that's also an element of No Man's Land, Tiki, where you had a couple cops that went rogue under Gordon's watch. Again, they were cops, and the military is kind of a different story, so that's why I'm a little thrown off. But I don't know 100%. But that's it's an interesting point. I do like the military correlation because Gordon's kind of a general in rampant times in Gotham at this point. He's kind of rallying the troops in kind of Gotham as a war zone. So that's I hope they're going that route too. I'm with you there.
Mm-hmm.
So again, there Enigma here is it looks like he's being shock tortured. I think he's performing I think he's doing some shock therapy on himself. Honestly, I think he's trying to fix himself.
I can see that.
And that's kind of a thing from Zero Year 2 in a very different context. Like he didn't do that to anyone, but Bruce Wayne kind of you'll if you ever get to it, you'll see.
Yeah. I like Nigma's haircut.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. I think this trailer at least shows a very well put together, really stylized take on the show. I like all the colors that play here. The black and the red on the Penguin.
Yep.
Really pops.
Of course, Bruce Wayne doing okay. Hold on that. Bruce Wayne doing some fighting on a rooftop. Reminds me of Dark Knight Returns a little bit, like Oliver Queen kicking that one soldier. Because I don't know if these are good military guys or bad military guys. I don't know, but look at this, and you can kind of see it here. I don't know if we show him using it later on, but you have Bruce with I think they show it later on, but you see Bruce with the harness for the grappling gun and everything, and then the gauntlets. He looks great, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've seen that Mizzou's kid, buddy boy, and again I've given him that copy of Mask of the Phantasm. We're gonna see if it pays off this season. It could. You never know. Probably not. Oh, yeah, here we go. So Jeremiah's looking really good this season. They went.
Yeah, I really like how he's kind of rocking that whole, the man who laughs kind of like very, very old school, like 1930s gangster kind of vibe.
It is. It's kind of that mixed with what we see in a later shot is I think here's the thing, they're doing that, Tiki. Stylistically, they're doing kind of a 40s, man who laughs, Conrad Veidt looking kind of old school Joker, which looks great. They give him the wide brimmed hat and everything, but he's in white. And here's the thing, with him in white and for his choice of weapon later on, it looks like they're doing one of the really creepy Jokers. They're doing the Grant Morrison Joker. Grant Morrison Joker is really scary, and I think they're doing some of that here. Well, you'll see it coming up when he uses like the blade, so that's fine. Of course, here we have Lee's really out of sorts. She seems to have killed a guy.
Mm.
Oh, there's the blade.
Yeah, this shot creeps me out right here.
And that's the thing. That's pure Morrison. Like the Grant Morrison Joker famously used switchblades when he fought Batman. He did this thing where he was like shirtless, wearing suspenders, and fighting Batman with like twin switchblades like that. It was really creepy. And he had like a split tongue. It was really scary.
Oh.
Yeah, really nightmare-inducing. I think they're kind of gauging a little. I don't think you go that far with it, but I'm saying they're kind of homaging that a little bit here, so that's kind of neat. Again, they've done like all sorts of forms of Joker. We've done a little bit of Mark Hamill, done a little bit of kind of a touch of Heath Ledger, but on the whole, a lot of Snyder here and there, which is really good.
Mm.
So I'm still really impressed. And again, I love that the sane Jeremiah has become even more unhinged than Joker, like as we keep going on, even in the season 5. So that's all good. Okay, now you'll notice this. So we have the cat eyes going on here, and she has gloves that have kind of talons on them, like cat talons. So she's definitely going with the
Sure.
whole, the whip, the cat. She's going with the cat motif big time. The eyes are just kind of freaky looking. Yeah.
Oh God, here we go.
Also, just passed already, but it's fine. We saw Bruce with the grappling gun, like stopping Selena from like going to
Oh
town
yeah,
on
yeah,
her.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. So yes, this dog gag, calling the dog Edward. God.
These two have just come such a long way.
They have, and there's their old friends at this point. Their old friends are just like,
uh,
oh, this looks great. Him with like a very purple looking coat. Again, he's just so close. He looks so much like the Joker.
uh,
Yeah. Lee in the doctor's coat too, which looks really neat as well. Again, I love that Lee's getting back into the classic role of Leslie Tompkins, and I imagine on the whole it's going to be her and Jim working together as like she was in the Narrows, but kind of more of like they're pulling their. In season 4, I remember she alluded to she and Jim should work together to help the people of the Narrows. Where now Jim's kind of doing that already in the No Man's Land kind of climate, so it's really neat. So here we go. We're in Ace Chemicals, and we have Jim's old friend, the Mad Hatter.
oh God.
And this is neat. Just Mad Hatter bringing up like, oh yes, the two of you ruined my life.
They're really kind of pulling out all the stops to incorporate like essentially every villain who was the star player of an arc
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, besides maybe Galavan.
Well, you have Tabitha, so she's kind of a holdover from that.
That's true. That's true.
And we have there's a big one coming up here. It's kind of a blink and you miss it. So again, folks, last spoiler warning because this one's a big one. I'm going to spoil coming up here.
I with how laggy this is, I can't even guarantee it'll get picked up on camera. But
All right, well, sure. I'll say it as it's going by, I guess. Coming up here, it's Harley Quinn.
oh yeah, here we
At
go.
least proto Harley. Echo. We had this character in the last season called Echo, who we see in kind of a more of a. She says put in. She's definitely more unhinged and very Harley like. So she's kind of the proto Harley Quinn, I should say.
So you don't think this is going to be the Harley Quinn? You don't think they're going to go that far?
Well, I'm saying that's kind of what they set up already, and I presume it's the same character. I don't think it's Harley Quinn's. I mean, it could be. I don't think. I mean, she looks. I don't know. She looks really unhinged than she did before. I mean, she was in the Jester outfit, and really, that's how she was last season. So maybe it's. I assume.
I don't think it's Harley Quinzel, but I think they could go as far as actually naming her Harley Quinn and giving her that alter ego.
Well, when I that okay,
Like a different interpretation of the character.
let me rephrase. So when I say proto Harley Quinn, I mean like not Harleen Quinzel. That's what I really mean by proto Harley Quinn. So I think you're right. I think it's going to be the moniker because that's kind of there was this really interesting idea once where Joker was like taunting Harley once by saying he's had a million Harley Quinns before her, and then we see like this dungeon filled with like it might have been Joker messing with her, or was he telling the truth of like a lot of dead skeletons wearing Harley Quinn costumes?
Mm-hmm.
So they might be going that route, which I'd still be impressed with. Okay.
And this is kind of where the episodic quality comes into play. Like, or are we going to get a standalone Ivy episode? One has to wonder.
One could wonder. One could wonder. Yeah. And we have here's the big one coming up here. Oh yeah. So I know this. This is from. I know he's going to be kidnapping Alfred, doing God knows what to him. And this image right here, he looks so Tom King Joker like. They look so much like Tom King's Joker right now. Basically, the way a lot of people initially thought the Joaquin Phoenix Joker was going.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he looks so great and mad, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Alfred has a great line here. I forget exactly what word for word.
I'm gonna bite your face off. If you hurt Master Bruce, I'm gonna bite your face off.
Bite your face off. Yes, that's great. That's great.
Which, of course, given the whole what happened to his given what happened to his brother, that's quite a real threat.
Oh God.
Literally had Jim Gordon punch his face off. I'm not exaggerating, folks. The man literally punched the other man's face off. Thank goodness for Scott Snyder come up with stuff like that. There's a lot of crazy shit. Oh, that one guy. You don't need to hold on, but just that one guy looks very electrocutioner. That's the one from the Arkham Origins game. Remember, like, I'm an electrocutioner. That guy. He's got the big shocky gloves. So a lot of. Oh, wait a minute! I just noticed something. That lady with that person with the mask. I think that's going to be. They might actually pay off the mother and orphan thing. Someone with a mask. I don't know. So here's the bane of it all here. I wonder if Hugo Strange
like throwing out all these subtle like like enter the heart of darkness, and then it kind of throws its arms up in the air and says fuck it. It's like, and Bane, we got Bane too.
Now the interesting thing I did notice from this is if you go back just a smidgen, like the shot before, you'll notice Hugo Strange, and I think what they're suggesting here is that this might be the Panadora thing, which I swear to God, I'm just putting this together in the moment right now. I was thinking maybe there might be a correlation with Hugo Strange. It might be a trick of the editing to get us here, but you know what I think? I think what they're saying is the doctor who performed the Venom procedure in Panadora, because again, it was a Wayne Enterprises kind of sponsor thing in the universe of Gotham. I think they're saying Hugo Strange did this to Bane.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. That would give Hugo Strange a bit more relevance to season 5.
Again, he was the Wayne Enterprise. They might
have season 4 for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, I mean, no, he came in at the very end of season 4. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I know he came in at the very end, but I'm saying, like, for all intents and purposes, he was pretty much benched for most of the season.
That'd be a cool way to work him in a very limited capacity. Say he made Bane. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Then we have the. Okay, that looks just so great there. I just love this line, by the way, just Jeremiah. Jeremiah saying something along the lines of, I want this is my show too. And look at the showmanship. He's basically, if he were purple, he'd be perfect. And again, like this shot here, again, this the big Ace Chemical showdown. This all looks great. I'm going to be geeking out so much during this episode. I know it. I'm just so looking forward to this episode. Classic Batman Joker dialogue.
89.
Yeah, well, 89, a little bit of 0 year, a lot of again, just classic. Red Hood, obviously, a lot of stuff in there.
I love the line, the exchange that they have. I believe Bruce says something to the extent of, "It ends tonight," and then Joker is like, "No, this is just the beginning."
You mean nothing to me. Yeah, that's it was a good line. Yeah. Yeah, it's just because again, it just feels like classic Batman Joker dialogue all around. So it's all looking really great. That's pretty much it. If you like kind of question mark cards and everything, and that's we have like the money shot coming up at the end here, I think. Yes, so I love this walk. I love that shot there of all of them here gathered up the wall. And again, I'm pretty sure this is going to be Bane leading his army below there. Very militaristic, I'd buy it.
All right.
Okay, so lead us off through some spectique, and then that'll be all she wrote.
Oh dear. I mean, I really don't have a ton, Dragon. Most of the things I have are just kind of like, honestly, I feel like what I said earlier about how I feel like this is going to be sort of like, the thing with Bane. It's going to kind of be like the pieces just sort of fitting into place. And in that regard, I don't really feel like there's a ton of speculation. It's like, I feel like by the end of the season, the Penguin's going to have control of the Iceberg Lounge again. Gotham City Sirens are going to be kind of established in their own way. We might even see an expansion to the Sirens. It'll probably be like Babs, Tabs, and Ivy. They'll all be kind of involved. Maybe Catwoman too. Let's see. I mean, I just basically think this season's going to be all about kind of setting up a status quo, you know, kind of like building it up into its own thing and its own sort of, you know, where in a way, like we could see like the start of a new, you know, if episode 1 of a new show, you know, we could almost kind of like spin it off into a Batman show. You know, it's like it's kind of like like just setting up the building blocks. I don't really have a ton of spec about how we're gonna get to that point.
Well, let me kind of fire through a few. Basically, I'm just going to kind of summarize. Let's go character by character here real quick. Well, not every character, but just a few. Like, so again, I already mentioned with the Riddler thing. I love the idea of him putting pieces of himself back together on a regular basis. I just love that idea of like kind of a reimagining of Riddler. That's kind of neat. I mentioned I think Lee's going to be working with Jim Gordon as with Gordon as a doctor again, aiding the GCP. And here's what I really think episode 7 is going to be. I'll bet you this. I'm going to bet you even money this happens. Okay, you ready for this?
All right.
Okay. I think, again, so Lee and Jim are going to be working together in the clinic and the G space. Again, they're pulling their resources to help people in kind of the universal location. Plus, the GCPD has power and electricity, which I'm sure would be better for helping people. So they're working together coincidentally. That might be what episode 6 is about, teaming them up again. I don't know. Episode 7, the Ace Chemical Plant. I think Mad Hatter is going to hypnotize them when they get to the Ace Chemical Plant. Like Jeremiah has had this plan. It's probably like he kidnaps Alfred to bait Bruce to the Ace Chemical Plant, probably. And he's used the Mad Hatter to hypnotize Jim and Lee. Because there was an image too. It wasn't in this trailer, but there was an image in one of the other trailers where I think it's the two. It looks like they're moved really fast, but Bruce is walking down what seems to be Crime Alley, or like a mock-up of Crime Alley, which is another Snyder idea. And I think what's going to happen is I think Jeremiah has staged it. So Jeremiah, in my very Snyderian way, is a Joker who's trying to help Bruce become Batman, which is fascinating. And what he's going to do is he's going to help Bruce get over the loss of his parents by killing them all over again in Jim and Lee. He's used the Mad Hatter to restage Crime Alley. He's going to try to kill him, which will lead to the fight at Ace Chemical Plant. That's what I think is going to happen. Bet you that's probably what's going to happen there. Okay. I already mentioned the trial thing. I think Tabitha's probably going to side with Bane in order to target the Penguin. I think she's just going to be working with Bane. That's what I think is going to happen. I think, but whether Barbara's going to survive all of this, I'm not sure. But again, with the sirens, I'm sure like Poison Ivy and Selena are probably going to be involved. But Tabitha's probably a goner.
Tabitha's one of the where it's like I'm surprised she's stuck around as long as she has. I've mentioned that before.
Yeah, but I imagine like some of these guys have to get on Bane's side. I'd imagine some of them do. So I imagine if anyone's going to join that side, it's probably going to be Tabitha. I wonder if Lazarus Water is going to be the thing to fix Selena up. I wonder if it's going to be like Lazarus Water that Barbara used her League of Assassins ties to get Selena to fix her up because Babs and Tabs, they're friends. Therefore, can use the League of Assassins to heal Selena. Maybe that's what gets her up and running again. I don't know. It's a guess. Here's what I want to happen to Victor Zsasz at the very end of Gotham, Tiki. Let me throw this at you. I hope. I would love it. This doesn't have to happen because we love Victor Zsasz the way he is, but I've always imagined they were going to go this route, so I wonder if they're going to do it the very last season. If Zsasz gets gassed by the Scarecrow and he ends up like the classic Victor Zsasz, where he's going to be shirtless and covered in all like the tally marks and everything.
Oh, I like that. Yeah,
lose like the pleasant guy that we've had for the 4 seasons, and at the very end, he's the savage, kind of permanently scared guy who's always paranoid, calling everybody zombies, and like we see all the tally marks of all the people he's killed throughout the Gotham seasons all over his body. That's what I'm hoping for. Let's see other. I already mentioned again. I hope we're going to build up Bane and the conquest of Gotham. Basically, I think Bane's coming back to Gotham for business, maybe to get more Venom, or basically sort out some Wayne Enterprises business that connects to the backstory that we're going to see unfold in the Panadora episode. And I think what's going to happen is Bane, while tending to some business at Gotham, he's going to see that Gotham's in such a vulnerable place. He's going to get the idea to conquer Gotham, like Bane classically tries to do. And much like No Man's Land in the book, Bane is in No Man's Land in the book, and that's kind of what he tries to do there. And I think it's going to be a thing where he's going to owe Bruce Wayne a little bit of gratitude for his great strength. He's going to like mock him by saying, "Thanks to the Wayne Enterprises resources, I'm the man I am today." And maybe develops like a little bit of back and forth with Bruce, and like kind of develops not an obsession, but like kind of like a thing where he just kind of writes off Bruce Wayne as like a joke. And then, of course, we have the correlation for Bruce Wayne and Bane years later, and Bane has that connection with Bruce Wayne. Therefore, years later, he can put together instantly that Bruce Wayne is Batman because he has this dynamic, he has this history with the kid. Let's see here. Get the last bit here. Again, very Morrison-looking Joker. Okay, last one. Okay, here's how I think the whole thing's going to end. Okay, I think Bruce is going to. I think Batman. I think Bruce is going to don the. He's going to don the cape and cowl. You know, at least the cowl, the mask. He's going to be in the Batman outfit finally, or at least a first prototype version with a mask. He's going to have the bat ears. He's going to have the bat ears finally. Bruce is going to enter during the big firefight, like either right after the big firefight we keep seeing with the big wall and everybody shooting like crazy at the very end. Either right after that, like during that, Batman's going to enter, and we're going to do the 0-year moment where Batman enters and inspires Gotham as this symbol, again, the symbol of a Batman. Somebody that not everybody knows instantly. Jim Gordon could probably recognize if he really thinks about it, but everybody else is going to be like, who the heck is this guy? And Batman's going to like swoop in, kind of maybe kind of distract from the fighting for a bit, then kind of fight Bane one-on-one. That's going to happen. And that, again, will kind of like, this basically you'll might play into the fear of the Bat's end because Bane classically is afraid of bats. So maybe that's going to be something that takes Bane off his game. Maybe he gasses him with fear gas during the battle. I don't know. It'd be kind of neat. So yeah, I think that's on the whole. What's going to be the big 0-year moment of the series. And classically, I really want the series to end with either a big time jump at the very end or shortly after that moment, Joker. We see a shot of Joker We've been building it up so far. We see Jerome as the Joker finally, and we then cut to the rooftop scene that I've been dying to see since the series began of Jim Gordon with a mustache. Again, this is why I would love the time jump, like a big time jump.
Oh my God, yes, please. We still haven't gotten a proper mustache that's not in a Nightmare Bizarro situation.
So imagine this, Tiki, okay? You ready for this? Okay, this is the last thing I have, so we're going to end it really good.
All right.
So again, it's just a haggard Jim Gordon, like, sees this Batman-like figure kind of go away. Then, like, we have a time jump after that. Like, a time has passed, and maybe we see, like, a bit of, like a little shot of Joker, like a little summation thing. We check in with everybody right as, like, the Batman series we'll never see, but we're going to get like a minute glimpse of here. See where everybody is at the kind of the start of this new status quo. And the last image right before the last scene is like a little show of Joker. And then the bat signal comes on. We see the bat signal. And we pan up to Gordon and we reveal him with the mustache holding the file and everything. And we have an obscured Batman. So whether it's an adult actor or not, I don't know. Maybe it's David Mazouz and they based him down, but they don't show him.
Max Hero.
I'd love it, but Max Theriot, I'd love it. I don't think they're gonna do it, but you never know. No, in all seriousness, whether they don't even have to show him, man, they just have to show him from behind and with the ears. They have to show Batman in silhouette just showing up and having that conversation. Gordon doesn't even need to look at him. We don't even need to show him from the front, but we just have that conversation from year one. Him talking about a nut job like. You poison the water supply and shows him the playing card, shows him the Joker playing card, and that's where it ends. That's oh god, that's what I'd love to see. That's what I want the series ending to be. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna be weeping like a baby if they end like that. All right. So final thoughts. Sorry.
Oh, I just said I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Oh yeah. So. Yeah, end of the day, Tiki. Last things right before the series starts. Anything you want to say? Final thoughts, go.
No, I think I've kind of said my piece on it, man. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I think the two things this has going for it the most is the fact that they are smart enough to end it when they are, and they're not dragging it out on like a certain show that's kind of being dragged out and just beating a dead horse into oblivion.
6 more seasons in a movie for that one.
What?
6 more seasons in a movie for that one.
Oh God, 6 more. Yeah, like a trilogy of movies of what happened to Rick Grimes that time we weirdly decided to kill him but not kill him. I'm like, what? Like, what are you doing?
Then don't forget they're doing that extra prequel series, Better Ring Rick.
Oh God. Better break.
No, here's what's gonna happen, Tiki. You're gonna hate what they're doing now in The Walking Dead, but you're gonna love that series.
Oh God.
Okay, and all then we have like
Yes,
and basically the Mike
I'm just
Ehrman.
dying to see. I'm dying to see what happens when Rick Grimes gets carried off by that helicopter, man. I'm just like, even though I haven't watched The Walking Dead in like 2 years. All
And
right.
Bernthal's gonna be like the like Rooker's gonna be the Gus Fring character, and you're gonna have you have Bernthal as the Mike character.
Well,
Anyway,
keep in mind this would have two characters that have long since been dead since like season 3.
well again, this is in the past. It's a prequel.
Oh, true, true.
All right,
Anyways.
so final thoughts for me. I'm
Yeah, but like I said, I think it's got the benefit of kind of ending it off before it gets into the terrible territory. Like we're ending off in 100 episodes. It just seems like a natural place to conclude the story. That ended. It's a condensed number of episodes, so that those two factors alone have me excited.
Yeah, yeah. Again, as I said, my biggest fears are if they go the obvious route with Bane, I'm going to be very scared, and if they go really off the rails with Selena, I'm a little better. Again, Selena basically they're getting her to like the point where she has like cat-like gloves, and they're going more of a Michelle Pfeiffer route, which again is not really surprising given the Batman Returns vibe of the series.
Uh,
So I'm a little less worried about Selena. I'm just like the whole green eyes thing makes me. I just hope they don't do like the whole nine lives cat powers thing. That's the main fear. As long as they don't do that, I think it'll be. I think it'll be okay. But legitimately, the only legitimate fear I do have for this season, I think I'm pretty confident about the season, with the exception of Bane. Again, Bane's the only wild card in all this. Bane could sink the season. I think they're going to make him the big bad, like towards the second. Well, again, it's the second half. My fear was that this season was going to be, again, when it was 10 episodes, when I thought it was 10 episodes, I was really afraid that they're going to be doing too much for 10 episodes. I mean, I know it's only adding 2 more episodes. I mean, the worst case scenario for this season is that they planned out like a full 22 episode season that they have to condense in 12. That's the worst case scenario, and they have to
I
do
don't think
Bane.
that's the case, though. I really don't think that's the situation we're looking at.
And again, I've kind of gotten over that fear. But again, the fear still remains of them going the obvious route with Bane, which I got to tell you, just kind of talking it over. And again, calling back to all the way back to season 1 and the Hugo Strange kind of maybe creating Bane element. Again, it could work. It's not, again, if they do the smart, if they tell the story before they're telling the event, like before the whole, well, we're doing Bane. Certainly we have to do Nightfall. Everybody knows Bane from Nightfall, right? Nightfall, Nightfall, Nightfall. No, we can't just, let's just not. We gotta tell the story as it fits in naturally. We gotta, don't create don't create the puzzle piece. Just use find the one that you've built all around everything else. But
Uh,
but I can't wait for Gotham's last hurrah. I'm hoping for like a Bates Motel season 5 caliber of season. That's a tall order, I know, but I'm hoping for it. It's got a lot of great things that could lead to a lot of success. I'm very excited for Gotham season 5. I can't wait to see how it all ends. And I'm hoping that we get a Batman series after this. But even if we don't, I'm hoping they make this one memorable. I hope they make this a season to go out on proud.
all right. Well, folks, we will be back on Friday to recap year 0 and, just take a deep dive into all things Gotham as we, gear up and get into this final stretch of episodes. And in the meantime, don't forget to pack your sacked lunch, Jim. Jim, it's lunch. It's the apocalypse. We need a fundamental, we need to hold on to our dignity, man. You have to eat lunch.